Hi guys, today in this tutorial I will talk about using masks in designs. Using mask in Figma or in any software basically. What is a mask? A mask is a shape that actually creates a window, if I can define it like that, that through that window I see a bunch of elements, okay, part of elements or a group of elements that are grouped inside or behind this window, which the shape of that window allows us to see. Like here, for example, that window is a triangle, this one, and I have these circles inside it. Okay, as we can see here, I have a mask group. I mean, the mask shape and the elements are grouped inside a mask group, and this is the shape itself. Okay, that's the mask shape, this one. So I create the mask shape. I have another vector which is actually the background of that mask. I have these three ellipses, and the stroke that you see here is separate here on top. Now, when you take a shape and create a mask from it, let me just show it. So let's say that this is a shape of a mask. Let's call it a mask shape. Now, I'm taking this shape and putting it on this image, for example. Let's put it on this image. Now, in Figma, which is a bit, in my opinion, a bit not intuitive as I would expect, but it does the job exactly the same as in other design softwares. So in Figma, the shape that you are doing a mask with needs to be behind. It needs to be the back from let's say another image or a bunch of other elements, so it needs to be at the back of it. So I have the image here, which is image 1. I'm taking the mask shape, placing it behind the image, and now when I select both of them, I can click this button, which is use as mask, or I can right click and do the same, use as mask. The moment I do that, so actually a mask group is created. I have an image which is inside, or let's say the mask shape is actually hiding the rest of it. Okay, now when I have a mask, I can make the mask shape bigger or smaller. Okay, like that. I can move it, the mask shape itself, and place it somewhere else, or I can change it. In our case now, which is a rectangle, I can make it like that if I want to. And I can also move the image inside it, separate from the image, from the mask shape itself. When I select the group itself, I can make it, let's say, bigger or smaller with the mask shape and the element inside it. So actually I can, as I said, or I can move it, of course, together. So I can edit the mask shape itself, I can edit the image, and I can edit both of them together. Okay, so these are the three main possibilities that I have. Now, okay, so in general, as I said, I can make a mask from any type of image, meaning if I just do, for example, something like that, just an image which has no any definition, let's put it like that. Let's say that I do this kind of image, I give it a fill, and I just place it behind this image, and I select the shape and the image, use as mask, and then I get this. Okay, so as I said, I can do that with any shape that I want. Okay, now the opacity has an effect on the mask itself, Meaning, let's say that I will select this mask shape, okay, and I will give this rectangle, let's say, a 50%. Okay, so if I give it a 50% of its fill, by the way, I mean, if I give it to the pass-through as well, it will do the same thing, okay, because I'm actually giving an opacity to the mask shape layer itself. So you see that when I give it a 50%, it affects the image or any other element that will be inside. Let's put some text inside it. Some text. Okay, let me just place it above the image. Yeah, I did a big text, but that's okay. So we have a text inside as well. And as you see, it's all affected from the mask shape itself. The minute that I will give it 100% back, so I have the image and the text in 100% opacity. Now, I can also give this rectangle shape itself, I can give it a linear gradient, and it will affect the way that I will see the elements inside it, meaning it will give it a linear opacity, a gradient opacity, sorry. So doing like that, and the minute that I give it a linear gradient, so you see that it affects immediately the way that we see the elements inside it. I can make it like that, for example, if I want to, or like that. As I will play with the linear gradient itself, it will affect the mask, the way that we see the elements inside this mask. Okay, so that's another thing that we can do with masks. Another thing that we can do, let's say that I can take this image, let me duplicate it. We don't need this shape for right now. Let me duplicate it, and I can also just write text. Here I have this one, and let's make it a bit bigger, not a bit, but a lot bigger, something like that. I can place it behind the image and use it as a mask. So you see now that I don't have to outline it to make it a shape. I can, by the way, if I want to, and that's okay. If that's what you need to do with it, then it's okay. But this text, the big plus is that this text is still editable, meaning I can edit this text by using the text tool, of course, and writing something else. I just wrote some letters. Awesome. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But anyway, yeah, we get the main point. So the text can still stay editable, and I can use it as mask. Another thing that I would like to point out when using mask, I think it's worth explaining, of course. Let's say that, okay, I want to create a mask from some shape. And as I said, really, it doesn't matter from which one of them. I mean, which kind of shape. Let's just give something like that, something like this, and here, let's do something like that. And okay, so this is my shape. Let's say that I am uniting it and flattening it. Okay, so I create this kind of shape, and now I want to just place elements that I will mask them with this shape. So like that. Yeah, so I'm gonna do some circs. Okay, good. So I have these circles now. I am selecting all these elements, and I know that the bottom one that I selected, which is a shape, this is the one which will create the mask shape. Okay, I mean the last one from all the vectors that I selected. So let's call it the mask shape. And now I will create the mask itself, clicking on this button. So now, as you see, they are masked, all these circles. Now, if you will notice, the mask itself doesn't have a background. The minute that I used this shape as a mask shape, so it loses its background. Okay, and that's important to understand as well. So let's say if I want a white background to this mask, so I can add just a rectangle, put it like that, and let's say give it a white background, of course, a white fill, and I can place it just above the mask shape itself, and then I'll get the white background. Okay, I can easily do that, or I can also do this shape, create this shape, duplicate it. Okay, and the minute that I am duplicating it and I'm placing other shapes on it, something like that, okay, then I know that I have these two rectangles on the bottom. This one will be used as the mask shape, so I know it loses its background, but the one above it, which is exactly the same, it will keep its background because it will go inside the mask. So now I can select all of them, click here, and then I have the mask already with a background shape. Okay, so that's another way of doing it, just important to know. And of course, as I said, I can give this one, let's say, a linear gradient, and then I'm creating something like that, quite easy and quickly. Okay, so that's good. Up to here, I think basically it's quite understandable. Another thing, the last thing that I want to show about masks, by the way, I will have another tutorial about using masks in animation. Okay, it's not gonna, this tutorial is not gonna cover it. I'm gonna cover it in another tutorial, using masks in animation. Okay, the last thing that I want to show here is that I can take, let's say, a bunch of circles, for example, something like that. Okay, and let me just make the image a bit bigger. Good. Now, as you will see, I can select all these circles, unite them. Okay, union selection, so that means that I am uniting them to be or to behave as one shape, but they are still all here. I didn't flatten them to be one shape. Okay, so they are still here, separate shapes that are united to behave as one shape. Now I can place this shape behind this image. Let's take the image and just drag it above it, and I can use this union as the mask of this shape. Okay, so now as you see, that union with a bunch of circles is masking, actually, more right to say, this shape. And by the way, it's still editable, meaning that the union, I can still go inside of it and select any one of the circles and just change its size, position. I can move it anywhere I want, but it's still editable. Okay, so that's the whole point of it. So that's another way of doing it. Of course, I just created identical circles at the beginning, but you can do as any union that you like, any shape that you want. Of course, no problem, up to you and what you need in your designs. I'm just showing you basically, or let's say technically, how does it work. So that's about it. And of course, this image, I can still move it inside this inside this mask, and I can make it bigger, change its position, its color, etc, etc. Okay, that's about it. I think it's quite understandable, not super challenging masks. I think when you understand the logic of it, so it's quite simple to go ahead with. And by the way, just one last thing. Yes, just one last thing. I remember I wanted to say another thing. We have a clip content behavior on a frame, meaning that when the clip content is selected, so also here I can place shapes inside this frame. Okay, that's the frame one. Sorry. Let's call it our frame from all this mess to remember which one is the frame. Okay, so this rectangle 8, I can drag it inside this frame. And as you see, it has kind of a, not kind of, but it has a mask behavior as well. Okay, I can place elements and it actually, I can when the clip content is on, then I don't see the outside or the rest of the shapes which are outside of the borders of this frame. So in a way, in some situations, it also behaves as a mask, true. But let's not forget that a frame has a rectangular shape. It can either be a rectangle up to a circle, but that's about it. I mean, this is as far as it goes, meaning behaving as a mask. I'm reminding you here that I can mask with any shape that I want. So with that, I am not limited only to a rectangular shape. Okay, either rectangle. I can also make this frame 438, and I can make it let's say here something like that. So I can make it either a rectangular or a circ one with the clip content selected, so it behaves as a mask, but I can't do it just from any shape that I want. That's it. Okay, so that's about it, guys. End of this tutorial, and thank you so much for watching it. I hope that you liked it. I would love for a like, a comment. If you have any other tutorial that you would like me to do, so just give me a comment on it. Just write me and I will. And of course, I will be more than happy if you subscribe to my channel. So thanks a lot, guys, and see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.